Greetings and welcome to the 13th episode of Oblivion House Mod Hunters, and as always I'm your host Talk Elf Guy, and today we have another 3 house mods for your viewing pleasure as we try and find your dream home in Cyrodiil. And real quick, I would like to just mention that we're now permanently moving this series to the Wednesday time slot, so every Wednesday you can expect another episode of Oblivion House Mod Hunters. And I know we've been, a bit random about this in the past, but I'm looking to try and get, the channel a bit more on a organized schedule, starting with the House Mod Hunters series, and also including a lot of the other series that we'll get to in a future sort of channel news update. But anyway, you can find all the download links down in the video description below, so let's get started with our popular house mod of the week, which this week is Maple Cottage by Emma. And this is a house mod that actually requires you to do a little bit of legwork first before you can, move in. You'll find a quest about the previous owner, the Maple Cottage outside of the Imperial City, and it seems like the poor fellow has, just disappeared, as previous owners are often, want to do. Apparently he wanted to talk some sense into a bunch of bandits, which, is never a really good idea, which also means that in order to get the key to the house, you're going to have to, fight through a bunch of them before you can actually move in. And in any event, once you find the key, the house is yours for the taking, and it is quite a beautiful looking cottage at that, sitting on a small overlook outside of the Imperial City gates with a view of the Nibbin Lake. And while it is a rather small property, it's, beautifully landscaped and detailed with surrounding flower bushes, an outhouse off to the side, lots of flowers, a small vegetable garden with a scarecrow to keep you company, a clothing line to dry your clothes on, a small well for drawing water, and out back there's naturally a table of chairs where you can, just take in the wonderful view. And there's a ton of other details in the gardens here, from a small horse statue carving to, bits of ivy clinging to the walls, and it's just a really beautiful place to visit and just sort of relax in. Here you can see Maple Cottage on the map, and it's really just a stone's throw away from the Imperial City walls, with a very short commute into the capital, which, could only be shorter if the house was actually inside the city. And of course it does also have a map marker for convenience as well. Inside you'll find a small but very cozy abode with an entry hall that includes a small dining space over to the side with some shelving units and the like. And there's also a small fireplace that can double as a cooking area, including a breakfast table and baskets of fruit. And there's a small but lovely amount of decorations in here, with potted flowers, paintings, and wall hangings providing a warm abode to live in. And moving on upstairs, you'll find the master bedroom, which also doubles as a study space, with a small bit of seating and a set of drawers for keeping your clothes in, and including some more lovely decorations of hanging flowers that just make the whole place feel, especially rustic and cozy, even given the somewhat cramped quarters. Downstairs in the basement, you'll find a sort of workshop space with a lot of crafting items, as well as some, extra storage and the like, with barrels, cupboards, and crates to store items in. And you'll also find guest quarters down here as well, with their own, little dining area, a fireplace, an alchemical lab desk for making potions, and a couple of guest beds for when you have company over, or if you have a couple of companions with you. And this house does come with a number of Oblivion crafting features, including an introductory manual of sorts on the workshop bench here, and you'll find a number of workstations for creating items such as, a tanning rack for leather, there's a smelter outside on the property, and there's wine kegs for filling up bottles of wine, amongst other things. And another thing to point out here, this alchemy station is actually a stationary station, where you can, make potions without having to put all of that annoying alchemical equipment in your inventory, which is a nice convenience feature to have. And in conclusion, Maple Cottage is a beautiful and rustic abode that's perfectly suited to players who like a lot of convenience features but a small style home, and it does have a lot to offer with Oblivion crafting, an alchemy lab, an altar for curing diseases, a map marker, companion beds, and let's not forget the very short commute into the Imperial City. This is a wonderfully cozy home with a lot to offer, including a quest for you to do, and it's definitely worth checking out. Next up we have our new house mod of the week, which this week is Keep Gark by Richtigbloedepinguin, and I have no idea if I pronounced that correctly, and I do apologize if I didn't. And anyway, before you can move into this house, you're going to need to purchase the deed for it first at the Imperial Commission office in the Imperial City. And it's going to set you back by quite a bit, about 107,000 to 115,000 gold. And, this is one of those, sort of homes that you're going to have to, save up for over time, because it is quite expensive. And once you have the deed in hand though, you'll find a bit of background information about the property and the location. And here you can see Keep Gark itself. It's a rather decent sized castle in the middle of the black woods of southern Cyrodiil, and it has a pretty unique appearance to it. The mod uses 100% vanilla assets, I believe, but in a rather creative way that looks, pretty epic if I say so myself. It includes a number of towers, walls, a sizable courtyard with a stable and gardens, and you also find that many of the walls are manned with guards sworn to protect your property, and it's just a really cool looking castle, just rising up out of the tree lines here. And there's also a small pathway that runs around the keep, providing an alternate route for travellers when the keep shuts its gates, since it's located right on the main road heading north from Leeuwin towards, Breville and the like. And this is a rather scenic looking path that's also, good for a bit of a stroll if you just want to, take in the woods and all that. And you can also see the keep here on the map, and it's basically about halfway between Breville and Leeuwin, while, not actually being all that close to either one of them. So it is a bit of a hike to get to it, but it does come with a map marker for quick and easy fast travel back home, and inside you'll find a large and grand entry hall with a tall ceiling and chandeliers coming down from above to create a fairly epic feel. The entry hall here is, mostly cosmetic, with some small gardens and a number of NPCs. A few of these are actually servants, and a few of them are just NPCs that live here and provide you with a bit of company in this fairly large castle. There's a couple of rooms here off to the side that are divided off from the main hall by a sort of makeshift wall, but which are essentially fairly open extensions of the main hall, including a dining room with a roaring fireplace capable of seating yourself and several guests. There's also a grand staircase that leads up to the second level and includes a balcony overlooking the dining room, which is a sort of, cool design feature. Even when you're not at dinner, you can always, spy on your guests if you like from above. And a number of these NPCs do provide some services, like a merchant that'll buy just about everything and has about 1,000 septims worth of bartering gold, or a NPC that provides magical based services like recharging magical items and the like. Now, like any proper castle, there's a throne room for you to hold court in, including a proper throne, a gallery to each side for the masses to gather and hear your rulings and judgments and, things of that nature. And it's mostly a cosmetic room, of course. And there's also a small private shrine off to the side with an altar that can cure any diseases, which is, always handy to have. And up on the second floor, you'll find most of the main bedrooms, as well as some interesting decorations, like a wooden Enterprise from Star Trek decorating the hallway here. And anyway, the upstairs is divided into two wings, one with a set of guest bedrooms, with two different guest beds that are divided by a set of bookshelves. And these are some, fairly comfortable quarters for some companions if you have them. Though it should be noted that some of the bedrooms in this castle are owned by the NPC staff, and I'm not entirely sure which ones that includes. So, just either way, they are some pretty nice looking quarters with a fair amount of decorations, and, possibly you can, store some companions here if you have any. But moving on, next up we have the master bedroom, which includes a large chamber with gardens, display cases, bookshelves, a master bed naturally, lots of ivy adorning everything, some seating areas, and a small dining table. It's a fairly cozy space with just the right amount of decoration while giving you, enough space to add your own items. And I have to say, I absolutely love all the candles in this castle. It makes each room feel, kind of atmospheric and the like. One of the really cool rooms that you're going to be finding in this castle is a magic lab that's just kind of built into one of the towers that comes with an ingredient garden, rooftop access, some bookshelves with magical tomes and alchemical equipment. Not to mention there's also an altar spellmaking in here. And this is just a really sort of, uniquely designed room with a pretty unique feel to it. That makes it, quite atmospheric and ideal for the, sort of aloof mage lord to practice magic away from the prying eyes of the masses. And here you can see an extension of the mage's tower with a second smaller tower that acts as an enchanting room for your magical lab, including an altar of enchanting, and this room is a bit darker and, sort of alien themed, but no less cool looking, and you'll actually find a number of these towers that have a lot of interesting decorations to them, including a small sitting room with display cases that you can just sort of, relax in, And we skipped a lot here, but you know, there's quite a few rooms like this, and also NPC bed chambers and extra storage chambers throughout the entire castle. Anyway, overall, Keep Gark is a beautiful and scenic castle along the Black Woods of southern Cyrodiil, providing some rather atmospheric and cozy living quarters for you to call your own and a court for you to rule over. And it does also come with a number of convenience features like a map marker, service NPCs, altars of enchanting and spellmaking, an alchemy station, an altar for curing disease, and companion beds. But this all does come at a great price, so this is a home that, you know, you kind of have to earn over time and work towards instead of, you know, moving into right away. But if that's, you know, something that you're looking for in a house mod, it's definitely a cool house mod that's worth checking out. Finally, for our underrated house mod of the week this week, we have Karew Manor by Corey Csuhta, and this is another sort of, you know, house mod that you're going to have to earn. And the first time you arrive at it, you'll, you know, find a NPC who has, you know, voice acted dialogue. And should you meet her requirements, which is to say if you have a high enough disposition and, you know, global fame, she'll sell you the house for about 50,000 gold, which is, you know, again, kind of expensive. And you can see this manor here, and it's a modestly large grey stone abode in the style of the Imperial City, with a small front yard and walkway up to the main house, with a number of statues to give it a sort of dramatic feel. And outside the front yard, though, it doesn't really have a whole lot of landscaping, but it does, you know, kind of look nice overall. And here you can see it on the map, and it's basically right across the way from the main bridge leading to the Imperial City. So it has a pretty short commute to, you know, start out with going into the capital. And it also has a map marker for convenience. Inside you'll find the main entrance hall, which is, you know, really a large display hall, with several display cases, tables, bookshelves, and a few chests and cupboards for, you know, storing extra items. And over in the next room you'll find some more display space areas with more display cases and bookshelves, but you could also use this room as a sort of dining hall if you want. You know, there's a bunch of tables here that could, you know, work for a makeshift dining room, if you so desired. And downstairs in the basement, you'll find a fairly large storage chamber, including a bit of a practice area as well, with training dummies, archery targets, and spell targets for you to practice on without, you know, damaging the rest of your house. And naturally, there's a lot of crates, chests, barrels, and cupboards down here for, you know, keeping excess items as you so desire. And up on the second floor, you'll also find another display hall with a few display cases. But you know, something you might notice here is that it's kind of empty. And there's actually a good reason for that. These empty spaces gradually get filled out as you complete quests for the main factions in Oblivion, with, you know, unique decorations and services, as we'll see in a bit. But you know, first, you'll find the master bedroom here, including, you know, more display cases, and of course, naturally a master bed as well. And anyway, here you can see the Mages Guild area in the display hall, including altars for enchanting and spellmaking, but you only get access to this once you've, you know, gotten into the Arcane University. So you have to do a bit of work first, and each time you reach a certain point in the other guilds, other services will become available in your manor as well. And there's also a small third floor where you'll find a bit of a study and display space. And overall, this is a pretty nice manor with some, you know, cool and unique features like services that get enabled over time. And you'll find a lot of convenience features like a map marker, lots of display and storage space, altars of enchanting and spellmaking, as well as a short commute into the capital. At 50,000 septims, it is, you know, kind of expensive, but well worth it for purists who want to, you know, earn their homes. And pretty much everything about it is, you know, really balanced, and it's definitely worth checking out if you're in the market for that sort of home. And anyway, that wraps up this week's episode of Oblivion House Mod Hunters. I'll see you all next Wednesday with episode 14. And if you have any suggestions or themes you'd like to see, you know, please do post them below. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.